We did it.
Oh,
we're back. Oh, you didn't see the countdown. You almost said something. I saw that look on your face.
I did not see it. That's
sneaky.
Called
It feels like a Body
restraint.
Wrong episode. When I just press it, you have no idea. Either way, the voice you're hearing, you know by now. It's me. It's my beat up voice, but I still got some left. Joining me as always is you've been whacking off Brandon J. McDermott. And if this isn't the typical dad podcast where we kind of been chatting before there, and it's like, listen, I got to do this at this time, and I got to do this at this time, but we got to hurry up and do this at this point. So if any of us have to leave early, we got dad shit to do.
And the best way to tell Euban and me apart is Euban's been whacking off, and I still am. I'm just joking.
Hey.
Just joking.
Hand check.
Yep, raise your hand if you're wearing pants. You'll never know. That's the podcasting thing. I was watching a podcast the other day. It's Harlan Williams and Howie Mandel have one called When a Stranger Calls, I think is what it's called. So they do Zoom meetings with random people. They filter it all out. I've done some research. Shout out Reddit. And so they bring these people in, and this guy, I don't know, he came over to me as like a super pretentious douchebag, I guess. And he was like in the suit, said he wanted to practice for this big interview with all like Sinbad and all these people. And they just messed with him. I mean, they talked about everything. And then they more or less were like, stand up. He's like, no, stand up. He was wearing a suit, no pants, American flag underwear.
True American, like a true American.
Speaking of true Americans, I know you've been going a little crazy in the chat, mainly I think to get Burley fired up. But I know it's a little bit older news, but it's still a couple of days there. We should probably talk about the old TikTok ban that was the quickest ban probably of all. Because I'll give you my point of view real quick before you guys get in there. I thought it was weird. I was in the school all weekend, limited Wi-Fi, no cell service, kind of like you were a couple of weekends ago. Sunday we go rolling into this basketball tournament. And there was, I'm not even shitting you, a different mood, not only from the girls on my team, but the athletes, the boys, the girls on all these other teams. They were all legitimately, and these are like 6th grade kids, upset, bummed over TikTok. Apparently there's a TikTok streak that they were all upset they were going to lose, kind of like I thought it was only on Snapchat, but it's on TikTok. They were bummed. And then all of a sudden I'm coaching, and I hear a kid in the crowd, oh my God, TikTok's back. And I'm not shitting you. Adults, kids, almost anybody was then reaching for their phones. And it was like pure joy. And they're all like, oh my God, Trump, yay. And it was the most awkward thing. And then you saw all these athletes playing with so much more energy. And I don't know, I was kind of disgusted by that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, I will say this. If the wife tells me tonight's going to be a good night, I might have a little pep in my step to take the trash out. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. I can't. I was probably one of those 6th grade kids. I was just as excited. I cannot lie. I opened up the app easily 100 times while it was down, and I kept seeing the same message. I'm like, shit, that's right. Granted, I have the memory of a walnut, so I will say that that's always been bad. But I don't know. As soon as it popped up, like I opened up the app and I saw a feed, like it was my For You page, and I'm like, wait a minute, and like my family was leaving to go get my birthday present, and I was like, oh shit, I got the house to myself for a good 1.5 hours. So imagine what I did. It was nice, but I chased them down the driveway. I was like, hey. And then they didn't see me, so I had to call them. And I was like, guess what? And they're like, what's up, Dad? I'm like, TikTok's back. And they're like, no way. It was a monumental experience. Honestly, when I told people on TikTok, the equivalent of the second plane hitting the second tower. Honestly, it was that monumental of an experience.
So, how not to get into a Toby rebuttal, right? Whenever I'm doing a podcast, I'm always like, don't channel your inner Toby, because I could talk for 10 minutes on this. My page basically died about 2.5 years ago. I've got 1.6 million followers, but when I post a video now, I can't get anything more than 1,500 views. Whereas when I post the same video anywhere else, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, you name it. I can get 10, 20, 100 times that. It is what it is. I'm not complaining. There is no sad. It's YouTube or TikTok gave me what I needed and was a great part of my life. That said, the biggest sadness of this whole being banned thing, this snip, snap back and forth, is it banned, is it not, is it banned, is it not, has been CapCut.
It's like you've been trying to get a vasectomy.
This is true.
Which, from the sounds of it, I believe, boys, in the coming months, I will also be getting a...
Ooh, hear me out. What if it's the first one that I fly in for, and we do a podcast while you boys are recovering from the snip?
What if, on top of that, we do like the doctors let the dads snip the umbilical cord? What if you come into and you just snip it for me, you know?
Dude, I could. Now that I don't drink as much, I'm steady like a surgeon. I've spent some time in ORs. I'm telling you, I'm in. You getting one? If Brandon does it, you got to do it.
I'm definitely going to do something on the station about it. Like,
ain't no freaking way. Ain't no.
Well, I'm not going to go live on Facebook for it, is what I. But like the lead up to it, like 2 more days and Brandon's getting snipped, you know, kind of a thing. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So not to get you guys even fired up about the TikTok, but I have questions for you both because I think we're in different spots. I think you've been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are more sad because you genuinely like scrolling TikTok. You like the content on it. You're enjoying the app more as a viewer than a creator, right?
This is true. Yeah, because while I think I probably quit creating about 2.5 years ago is generally when I stopped doing like the whole twice a day posting thing. But yes, I would say I'm more of a viewer, but also not the only reason why I was upset, because I'm not just saying, hey, I'm upset because TikTok was banned because I didn't have anything to do. Obviously, there's more deeper issues with that being banned, but yes, primarily as a viewer.
Yep. And I'm kind of on the fence for it. Like for me, I was like, it's gone. But being a parent, I was like, I'm not that mad. You know, the kids are right at that age where they're, you know, just doing stupid, harmless ones. And most of them are private, or like the one kid that's you can only post as friends only. We check the friends, whatever. But as the creator in me, like I've just gotten to the point where now I just get on the desktop app. I schedule a bunch. They go out as it is. And it's mostly not just, but it's for the podcast stuff where it's just, I don't know. I lost my interest for it because, I mean, if I open it, I can't go 1 or 2, and maybe it's just my thing, and I think you can reset them, but it's just buy this product, buy this product, buy this product. And for me, I'm just like, where's the funny shit? And then I try to go to the following, and I think because I followed so many people already that I'm like, yeah, you know? Where if I go on Instagram and just throwing it out, like I enjoy scrolling that a little bit better because I think it's more my algorithm. I'm seeing more funnier things. I'm seeing things, you know, there. And then, yeah, I don't know. That's my take on it. Like I was kind of on the fence, like, it's gone. I was not sad, but I had a feeling it was going to be back at least temporary. But when it's gone, it's gone. And to be honest, the one thing that kind of annoyed me, not to go on a Logan moment here, but was CapCut. I enjoyed using CapCut for street sign and a couple of other things to use. And with that being there, but I also use DaVinci Resolve for some editing. So, and it's very, you got to do some homework. You got to dig into it. So now this is my motivation. Big. All right, I can go full DaVinci, but a lot of creators, they're using that. And I don't know if you found an alternative, if anybody out there was listening, but I've used InShot before, and it's pretty close.
InShot and Splice are the two that are pretty good. But the problem is I like web-based stuff. So I'm using CapCut Desktop, and it was amazing. Now I can't use it, so it sucks. I just checked it 10 minutes ago, and it's not back. And
try
go ahead.
Try DaVinci Resolve. It's an overkill. It's not as easy as that, but it's free, and there is a learning curve. But at the end of the day, that and like Adobe Premiere Pro, they're pretty much like top-notch video editing stuff. Is it more catered for 9x16 for short form? Not really. But I think I'll look into it a little bit more on that end of it, because like InShot doesn't have a desktop version, but it was nice for simple, you know, adding the captions, adding, you know, maybe another picture here or there. It was decent, but like I said, I'm trying to really hard to learn and dig into DaVinci.
Have you guys ever tried UCut?
I have not.
Okay, so I don't know. It's probably garbage compared to what you guys are using, but anytime that I've ever wanted to edit a video, I think I've had it for at least 5 years, but I use it on my mobile. I'm able to like cut, edit, add audio, remove audio, pretty much everything that you. So I mean, I don't know. It's yeah, called UCut.
You cut. Yeah, look into
Shout out to
that. I
them.
just put that in my notes because I'm curious. But like he said, I do 99 point probably 7% of my all of the editing that I do right on the desktop. It's easier. I
Yeah.
know something about me. I can't when I have multiple computers and laptops and this and that in my hands to be able to go and do this. It's like, why am I going to try to edit on this when I can have a bigger screen, use the mouse? Maybe I'm old school. Well, I am old, but
I
yeah,
mean, I
it was
like the
interesting.
convenience of having just the one device and doing the one thing. So I'm just too lazy to get more than one thing out. I don't know. My phone's already there, and I'm like, can I do it from my phone? I kind of like testing to see what I can do and what I cannot do from the phone. So
Yeah.
it's I like it.
Yeah, I mean it's convenient, especially like I said, if you're doing 9:16 editing and stuff, that's going to go right on a reel, a TikTok or something like that. I could see where it would be pretty easy. And I know a ton of people that are like that, and actually Three Overs Daily, who's going across Canada and doing the content stuff, he was doing mobile only. He didn't even know there was a desktop version of CapCut. And as soon as I kind of showed him that, he was like, "Dude, I owe you big time. Like that is a game changer. It's just a little bit easier." You can see a little bit more, and like when you're editing the layers and stuff, you can see it a little bit better. But don't have to worry
Heck
about
yeah.
that CapCut. Lemonade didn't have a long life shelf, huh?
No, not at all. Everyone was right about that too. That did not last long right after TikTok.
No, I did like the kind of the format of it though. We were talking a little bit in the group chat where it's more like if you press the search on Instagram and you have a bunch of videos pop up, then you can go in there. But it has the descriptions, has the tags. You can search, and it had different bars like tech and stuff. Like I like the thought process behind it, where it was like I'm not going to just instantly open it and it's a for you page or friends only. Like I'm gonna get to see content that I'm aiming to. But with that being said, they are then going to get the information of what I really want to go and search for. you know?
Did you guys notice anything different about TikTok being on it since its return?
I know, like, I I opened it up just to see what everybody was talking about, but I mean, I'm so separated from it. I I I, I want you to answer what you were going to say because you brought up a point, but I do want to say this. There's just the kids and the adults and the folks who were not there for 2020. They just don't know how great TikTok was in 2020. And yes, now that I've been that person that said that, I will never say it again. I'm sorry. But it was so amazing. It was a special time to be alive because at no point as a creator in anything I've ever done did I feel like I had more of a control, understanding, and feel for the algorithm like late 2020, early 2021.
Yep. And I
See,
remember it was like anything you put out was gold. And then I'm not saying the stuff that you put out because you as a content creator has evolved and you got the golden voice. So it doesn't matter. It's what you're going to put out there. But what I'm saying by that mean it was like every video you did popped. And I remember seeing the counters as it was clicking up, hitting that 1 million. Like it was a wild ride for me to be able to enjoy with not with you, but then all these other creators. I mean, even, the ride with Toby and everything that he was doing and, the crew that we had, that of the boys, it was a wild time. People were blowing up. I mean, you had several videos at the same point too that were just, you know,
yeah, it's I see, and I would even disagree that see, I hopped on when it was Musically, and
mm-hmm.
so I remember the transition to TikTok, and I think pre-COVID was the best time of TikTok. That was the community was smaller. The lives seemed like they were more personal. I don't know, just the whole experience of TikTok before COVID, because that's when everyone else got on, and it was kind of nice to see that like you weren't weird for using the app because everybody else was now on the app. Like it wasn't like you're on that dancing app. I'm like, and you have to explain it like it's not a dancing app, It's just so it's that was the part that was really cool. It was like everybody was getting on it, and I think like that's when everybody was getting, like you said, like a lot of exposure. That's also whenever I got nervous from using it, just because a lot of local people would see some of the videos. And again, my content being a little bit different, I didn't like that as much. I really liked it when it was just, again, that small community of people far, far away that had no idea who I was. And then I just remember the first person to share one of my videos to me that was a local person. And I was like, oh, no. And they're like, oh my God, is that you? And I'm like, no, it is not. No, that would be terrible, right? And they're like, oh no, that's definitely you. I can see your house. And I'm like, son of a. So
Hey, is that your dick?
And like, I used to like not wear anything local. And then one time I wore a hat from one of the local universities. And that happened to be one of the videos that apparently got pushed towards that college. And so some of the people that I would work with, like, I work a lot with like the football team of this college because of like the recruiting process, and they stay at hotels. And I was like sitting there one day, just sitting on the couch, and the wide receiver coach was like, you son of a bitch. He's like, what's up, Euban? And I'm like, why are you texting me this right now? What is this? And he goes, holy shit. He goes, you got a lot cooler in my book. He's like, these meetups are going to be a hell of a lot more fun. And I'm like, oh shit. He's like, when are we going golfing? And I'm like, do you, He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, we're getting paid and having fun. And I was like, and I get to make TikToks. It was a glorious time. I miss those days. Those were fun.
That is pretty wild. And you said getting paid to make TikToks. There's a large... Could you imagine being one of those content creators, the stress of knowing that one of, if not your source of income is there? And that's what a lot of people are like, oh my God. And, petty people, they're like, oh, now these people are going to have to get a real job. And I've said it kidding around, but it's like, people are like, oh, could you believe the stress? Like, I think we've all potentially lost jobs. We've all potentially had to go find new jobs in the real world. This is the real world. I was talking to one of the kids, and I'm like, isn't it wild? And the wife, and I'm like, isn't this wild that kids are looking up, like, they make the stupid Riz dudes and the double chocolate with a reference. I was like, these are who these kids are looking up to and referencing and everything. And not to sound like an old man again, but it's like we grew up cherishing athletes, actors, comedians, musicians, movie stars, and they're cherishing, no offense, but sometimes some just white trash people that are just making videos in grocery stores.
See, and this is where, again, I will politely disagree, just because I think, so like whenever I grew up in the early 2000s, yeah, you idolize athletes and everything else, but I grew up in the era of where Jackass was very popular. Viva La Bam, The Wild Boys, all those guys, all those shows were very popular, and you didn't necessarily need to be intelligent or an athlete. You could just have a camera and make an ass of yourself, and people liked it, and just all the reality shows that came out and everything too. Just people are like, hey, I want to get on here. I could date 20 women at the same time. Hell yeah, that sounds like sign me up. I don't know. It's a little different.
Yeah, and it's crazy. That was just a couple of years after, me growing up, thankfully.
And I mean,
but at least
I was one of the ones that I liked.
At least the Jackass people, a lot of that came from skating. That was athletic. But like you said, I that's a good point though.
That is, I mean, I guess they were athletic, but the parts that I liked was like the antiquing. I don't know if you remember that, where they got the flour and would just throw it at people. That's what we used to do to our friends. That was good times.
I know Brandon's got something to say about all this.
Here's what I have to say. I know you're sick. Both my kids woke up this morning and they're like that deep, like whooping cough. They don't have whooping cough, but they've got that deep, like, ooh, 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 ooh. Like, Jesus Christ. And it's so bad. My nose is running, and like you blow your nose and it gets more stuffed because you're inflaming shit. It's awful.
It is terrible. And it's funny because every year it's like, this is the worst sickness ever. It's like, you just haven't been sick for a year. It's always shitty to be sick. And it's always even worse to have to blow your nose with a big mustache. We can confirm.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a solution for that.
a bidet for your front mustache. Look at
Could
it.
you use the
Is
mustache
that a
mate while
booger or
you
is that
You could use the mustache mate for that.
wasn't a booger?
No, I've had that happen to me several times on several different shows where I've had a booger out. So blowing the nose is a major bitch, and I'm glad that my kids have had they've been sick, but I have yet to knock on wood.
Oh, don't say it.
I'm feeling good. But Matt, yeah, whenever you had the intro, you broke into character. It seemed like Joan Rivers there for a little bit. That
Yeah.
sounds rough.
Yeah, and it's thankfully though it's the voice. I don't feel like I'm a little ran down, but just because we spent from Friday until Sunday in a gym and our team lost a game, so we got put into a loser bracket because they ran a double elimination bracket with 10 teams, and our team had to play 7 games in 3 days. And by the 7th one, our girls could not move, and they are all extremely sore today. And it was a long weekend, but there was a lot of good things, a couple bad things that came from it. But like I said, and going into Sunday, I couldn't yell one bit. I tried one time in the first game just to kind of like yell to somebody and squeaked like I just hit puberty, and I was like, not doing that anymore.
No,
But thankfully, it's just the voice. Other than being just a little bit tired, all things considered, no blowing the nose, no throwing up, diarrhea. But that's good.
if you need something for that throat, I got a home remedy that'll coat that throat for you in no time.
Has anybody ever said that to a woman and had it gone good? Like, honestly, for real.
Never, not once, but I will die on this hill trying.
Telling you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that would be.
could you imagine if it did work just that one time? You'd be like, oh my God. Like,
Imagine if it was the first time you said it and it worked.
is that the reason why? Did it work the first time and we just forgot? Is that the reason why we continue just because we're like, it'll happen again one day?
It must have worked for somebody, just not anybody on this pod. So listen to this. If there is any ladies, I see the statistics once a year, and it's about 7% of you are female audience members. Comment, send an email to any of us and say, what is the line that we could use on our wives that is going to work? You would think that we would know this by now, but just like a relationship, it always evolves, and we continually come up, at least I do, ways to strike out with one-liners. There's got to be a couple of moves. And Valentine's Day's coming up. We might need some help. And maybe it'll help some single dudes out there to be able to get some,
I got to tell you, I believe, I could be wrong, have been before, that our listeners and viewers of the female ilk probably tend to be those who enjoy being in the gutter. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a we got some dirty bitches watching this show. I can guarantee it nearly.
That's where I'm at.
And, God love you, Susan. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Well,
You're like, and I'm good.
every time that my missus is always like, hey, do you mind putting a load in the washer? And I'm like, didn't realize you changed your name to the washer. She's like, you're so stupid. Please switch to laundry. And I'm like, okay. But after I put
There's got to be another term for washer.
Oh,
but she could evolve.
That's
But
exactly
It's coming.
Listen, we are the equivalent of a rookie A-ball shortstop from small rural North Carolina who was decent on his high school team, but now we're surrounded by dudes who are just as good, if not better than us. We are used to striking out every single day. Hey, honey, you wanna? Hey, what do you think about? Hey, what about? But once they come on in and they're all, hey, what do you think about tonight with the? Oh, now I'm a piece of meat and I have to jump right away. Well, when they want it, they want it.
I know. And that's usually whenever we don't feel good. You know what I mean? It's always like we'll ask, and they're like, oh, I have a headache. No, I don't feel good. I can't do it. And then as soon as I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to die, she's like, you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, because it's going to be a while before you're in the mood again, I guess. So I'm like, I'm only giving you a C- experience here, okay? It's not going to be anything magical. I might have to stop and blow my nose in between. But we do.
And how awkward does that C- performance that we've all given, and we've all given a D performance, giggity. But how awful does that have to be for them? Just us, just up there, just half-ass going through and just. I mean, it can't be a good time for them, right? Like, I wonder what's going through their brain. Like, let's just get this over with, or what?
Have you ever thought about what it would be like to have this coming down on you? Like, that would be pretty rough, you know. Like, I'm just saying, like,
I just came. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
That's. I do imagine that she has to envision. It sounds like Shrek is behind her. It can't be an enjoyable experience, you know. But I don't know. I do.
I know I've thought about it a couple of times, and I'm just like, all right, what does she see that is attractive about that? Because
and then sometimes she'll throw a you are the stupidest mother I've ever met. And I'll say something like, and yet I'm the one you chose. Like, do you see me? Look at me in the mirror. You see this? You say yes to this. And you want to talk to me about my actions? No.
I always said, I was like, you're lucky I don't charge. I was like, you get to experience this for free.
For free. That's yeah. Shout out to the wives.
They're truly lucky. They really are. They're the lucky ones, not us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you talk about a C-. You've given a good B+. And you're like, yeah, you feel like, oh man, they're going to come back tomorrow for it, you know? And when they don't.
When they make breakfast and they're smiling and everything else, and like they start cuddling with you again on the couch, I'm like, oh shit, baby, how is that D? Why you like that? Oh yeah, you know. Even the kids are getting kind of grossed out. They're like, ugh, what are you guys doing? You know, and I'm like, I'm gonna give you another sibling, probably. Like, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I've heard through my buddies that do get the old snip that once things are healed up, you get a lot of hey, I want to reward you for all your. I want to thank you for your service. Make sure this thing's working. So there's that.
We get some valor. That's cool.
What I hear.
Okay, shit.
I cannot attest to this. I still have my working parts. But a lot of buddies, especially my one buddy that had a child, they wanted just one more. You know, husband, wife, 2 kids, dog or 2. Don't they have natural triplets totaling to 4? And that was a double appointment to make sure that neither of them would ever have another child.
I think our meetup needs to have some like Semen Olympics, and we can do like a little, so we can get our vasectomy valor. Like, I want us. You remember that the Jackass episode where they were like, hey, whoever's the quickest to nut, whoever like the viscosity of it, whoever had the most swimmers.
Is that at the Spank Bank?
Yeah,
at the sperm donation place.
Yes. So we could do that before getting snipped. So it could be a multi-episode thing. Is like, one, who's getting it done quicker? Who's, you know, we can go through those awards. And then, first of all, ain't nobody beating me in the quickness department. I could blink right now, finish. I'm winning it. The viscosity, this thing could clog so many dams. They could fix it. That's actually what they use. I have to send it to the Hoover Dam whenever they have a leak. They just put a little bit of this bad boy in there. I'm telling you, it's also in a spray for your throats. Luden's cough syrup. Got their idea from me.
So since it was your idea, I'm going to let you field all of the applications and all of the media stuff for the Semen Olympics that Eubin wants to run, because I guarantee you're going to get some emails from some very happy fellas that want to partake in said Semen Olympics, and you're going to have to filter those out and let them down gently or hardly, whatever you're into, and just let them know that they potentially aren't going to be invited to the Eubin whacking off Semen Olympics.
I was talking about only us participating, but if the audience wishes to submit their samples, so be it. We see the PO box in the comments below.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
imagine you setting up a PO box and getting package after package of, at this time of the year, frozen semen,
and people just like not even putting it in a container. It's just a loose envelope, and like the mail lady just getting like, here's another one that's leaking. I almost said my name again. That would have been the 4th week in a row. that I would have dropped my
Imagine
name.
though the people with the lower IQs, or the fact that they overdo that, then they put it in the envelope and forget that they still have to lick it.
All I can think
That
about is
would
the
be
Seinfeld episode where the lady died from getting like the eggs in her mouth. Need different
Yeah.
type of eggs and different.
I gotta tell you this. I told you guys the story about me being the gay icon, didn't I?
oh yeah.
Always
So
have been to me.
you guys know the story. I receive at least 1 to 2 messages every year, which are really detailed and really like, from benefit of the doubt, genuinely okay people who are coming on to me as men, and they're like, "You have no idea the gay community just loves you. You're a gay icon." Now, truth to that, I don't know. Probably just trying to fish for some feet pics, but
Hold
which I
on. Let's
also
ask.
had somebody ask me for feet pics. You see, if I ever showed you my feet, you would tell me they belonged in Frodo Land or wherever the hell he
Oh,
is at.
somebody's gonna bust to those feet. Let me see. Is Brandon J. McDermott a gay icon?
Who?
Is Brandon what? I guess the old Gemini experience is not willing to answer that question.
I searched it on my computer and it says it's the number 2 names searched on Grinder. So
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of Grinder, Logan put out the thing for CapCut, that video that I was talking about earlier. And he was just like, I need a new app. If anybody can recommend it, please let me know. Like, being genuine, just wanted to know. Top comment. Hey, I heard Grinder can accomplish what you're looking for. He has also become quite the gay icon in the world. In a lot of, of us bigger, hairy dudes tend to. I also get quite a few comments. Sometimes just a subtle little weird emoji. Thankfully, those go to the third tier of the Instagram that I never, ever go over there pretty quick. Or,
You open those
at
up when
all.
you're feeling bad about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really close to the cliff here, Need something to pick me up.
That's all right. I have a lot between that and like the slutty Russians or whatever that always send me. They're like, "Hey, I'm really lonely. I could use some company." And I was like, "That's right. I feel wanted. Yeah, that's right. Look at this. I can get her. She's in a bikini with D's. I can pick this up anytime I want to."
Yeah. What a weird world the internet can be sometimes, huh?
It's
But
deceiving.
TikTok's back for now. So what we need to do is we need to make a cool gay icon shirt that you can start to make in a couple of videos. You'll be able to make a quick buck, I bet. Don't even have to sell them feet.
My God.
Some in Chicago say this bear gets down.
I was trying to picture a gay icon thing for and the only thing I can think is some multicolored rainbow hot dog of an icon, and just no, yes,
So,
question mark, straight to jail, and then the soap on a rope.
Foot long or nothing.
straight to jail. Okay. Do you know what the Chicago Bears? Shit. You know what the Chicago Bears fight song is?
Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy.
It's called "Bear Down."
That's what I'm saying. It's Chicago. You gotta do it. You say this bear gets down. Just have you just kind of bite in your finger a little bit. T-shirts would sell themselves.
Chicken wings and dick.
Bone in.
God bless.
Depends on how lucky you are. There's seriously no worse feeling than knowing you're going to get a chapped nose, but it hasn't quite got chapped yet. But you're like, yeah, this is going to get worse and worse over the next day.
That was a
or
great
two.
transition.
I have
There was a lot of ways you could have went with that. I wasn't expecting nose.
And before I have to depart from you gentlemen here, there is a home remedy that I can give you for just right underneath the nostrils if you want me to send you some.
It's gonna smell like oranges. He's on an all orange diet, and
honestly,
oh man,
vinegar and like Parmesan garlic wings from B-Dubs. Like it's very potent. I'll leave you with that.
That's a smell that you can picture in your nose.
And on your
and you're
face.
going picture in your nose, you know exactly what that smells like from that visual. Man,
And
you
tastes
son
like.
of a bitch.
Go ahead and say it. You know what it tastes like.
Nope. Never been to a B-dub. Sorry.
Ironically, my initials. I'll leave you with that as well.
It is.
See you, gentlemen.
See ya, buddy.
Bye.
Oh, you've been whacking off to go sit in a very uncomfortable gym on some probably, I don't know. What do you think is worse? You've had to probably spend some time, doing radio stuff and this and that. The old wooden bleachers or these new friggin' plastic ones? They both suck. Oh, you're muted. But I can't tell if it's the wooden ones, the plastic ones. I like the now that they can make very affordable seats. So almost everybody is bringing in these seats, and it's almost like sitting in like a little recliner while in these now. And they even make them so they clip onto the bottom of bleachers. Beautiful.
You meant the hard plastic with the little basketball ribs on them, ribbed for your legs.
Those seats suck. The wooden ones weren't great. The metal ones for the outdoor ones on a cold fall or spring day, not a good time either.
No, it's awful.
I'm more of a stand and pace kind of guy now at sport events.
Ever been to a high school or college stadium where the football stadium where the seats there's no back to the seats, it's just a bench, and then people will carry the little backs with them that they hook on the back of the bench. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think the Dome in Syracuse used to have something similar to that back in the day. But it's been a hot minute. Any of the schools that I've been to, whether I was coaching or not, it was just your standard bleachers. But most of them don't have the backs; they're just the bench metal. And pretty much every high school, actually, to think about it, every high school and college, none of them have a back to them, which is awesome. Those ones, so many people are using those now. I actually have one for the wife, and then just an extra one that we bring, and they are a game changer. The really nice one has a nice thick cushion to sit on in the back, and then the cheaper one is cheaper, and it's not nearly as nice. But there's some crazy ones. Old Logan from the podcast, local Logan, he keeps the shot clock for the basketball games now. And he has this contraption that is almost like 2 or 3 seats within one. And I'm just like, and I'm pretty sure it weighs more than him. And it's funny watching him sit on them. But he's like, I sit in these bleachers for hours, man. I got to have something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it as is. I've got sciatica, which hurts to sit for long periods of time. And if I've got to sit for more than 2 hours, it ain't gonna work. I've got to stand up and walk around. It's just too much. Which is why I enjoy going to conventions, because I don't have to sit for the whole presentation. I just get up and walk out.
Listen to this. I know this is something that you do quite a bit, but I was asked recently, Matt McClear, as author of The Beard Ventures of Mr. Whiskerwitz, to go and speak at an elementary school.
Nice.
And that was an experience. I had to do 2 45-minute presentations or speeches, whatever they would be. The first one was pre-kindergartners to 2nd grade.
45 minutes?
45 minutes twice.
What did you do?
So what I did is I just kind of did an introduction, like who I am and, like how I created Beard Laws, and just kind of blabbled on about some stuff, but kind of like tried to make it so they were there and laughing, and then just kind of did like a little backstory of, I started with the cancer center, replacing the TVs and the money, and thanks to TikTok, and just kind of telling the kids like, you can use social media apps for more than just doing stupid dances. And then there was like a slideshow, so I had somebody switch the slides and stuff just so they could look at something, but they wanted me to read the book. So I was like, you know what? Instead of reading the book, I'm going to pick random people to come up and act out the book. So I was able to kill some time, read the first page, had them act them out, and just kind of free flowed back and forth. A lot of laughs. They felt engaged. I think I brought like 10 different people up. So I'm like, that had to kill the time. And I look and I'm like, 25 more minutes. So I was like, all right, well, let's create our own story. So I brought 5 kids up, and I was like, all right, if you had a beard, what would your superpower be? And one of them, I just remember one of them was like, bananas. I'm like, bananas? Like, yeah. I'm like to grow bananas? Yeah. And I was like, okay. So you're a superpower. You're a superhero with a big beard that can grow bananas. What would you name? What should the name of the superhero be? And I was like, Bananarama or something, or Banana. I'm like, oh my God. So we just kind of went through with the 5 of them, came up with a story, a problem, a villain, a name. Just kind of, I was like, look we just came up with a story in 10 minutes. Like, you can be creative. And I was like, all right, cool. That's got to be time. And then I looked, and I was like, 10 more minutes. So I was like, questions and answers. This will be fun. And of course, at that younger age, they don't really understand what questions are. So I was kind of looking in the audience, kind of seeing if any of my buddies or people that I know had kids. So I pick out the one buddy that is one of the owners of the bowling alley, which spent a lot of time at the bowling alley. Didn't really ever bowl. Kind of one of those places. So I pick on his son. He says something, which wasn't a question, was a statement. And then he goes, yeah, my dad pooped at Walmart the other day. He had to go pretty bad. He couldn't hold it.
Man.
I laughed so hard. But it was pretty cool, just kind of seeing the excitement. And then over the tournament, these kids were walking by and they're like, oh my God, it's you. You're the author. And I'm like, it was pretty cool. And they all got a copy of the book. So was able to, sign a couple, write some notes or something in a few. But it was cool. And now I have to go back and do 2 more in February, 2 more 45 minutes. And I'm like, why did I negotiate 45? But she said the person that reached out to ask to do it said that that's typically the time frame of their classes or something. So the way the schedules worked to keep them on point or so. I don't know how schools really work, but it was interesting. So
yeah, anytime I do a speech with adults, I don't do more than 20 minutes because, I mean, unless I've got visual aids and we're talking about something that I'm very, very well spoken on, and it's question and answer, and there's a whole like presentation, there ain't no way I'm giving a speech more than 20 minutes.
yeah.
I'll give a speech, I'll tell a story, it'll be heartfelt, it'll make people cry or laugh or smile, but we're not going to do this for 40 minutes because people will start.
Mm-hmm. Or they're just grab on the phones and, you're just with the kids, there's nothing else they can do. They're sitting there and they're just staring at you, and this place was a cafetorium. So it was their cafeteria / auditorium. So, I mean, these kids are sitting on a nice cold floor, just kind of sitting at you, trying to be quiet, trying to be patient. And yeah, like I said, I think I'm hoping that a couple other schools will jump in on this. And apparently they all have budgets to pay authors and stuff. So if I can make a couple bucks and I'll kick some back, maybe do a couple scholarships or something that, are meaningful in some local schools, I'd be willing to do that. But I think I'm going to go down to maybe 25, 30 minutes if possible.
Yeah, I don't think I think that's a good idea.
Like I said, I was able to fill it, but I know at times it had to be long and drawn out. And I was talking about stuff. I just started getting into I was like, man, I got time to kill. So I was like, all right, let's talk. I'm going to talk about my beard. I have beard laws. I'm more than an author. Writing a book is like a portion of this. I'm going to tell you about the brand. So I grow a beard. I use products. And I'm just like, nobody cares. But I got 45 minutes to fill. That's not on me.
Did you ever have when you're in elementary or junior high, the like scientists come to your class to do the presentations with like the balloons and the helium and the fire and the all that shit?
Nah, it doesn't ring a bell, no. But again, we're pretty, as you know, in the middle of nowhere. I have to imagine not a lot of people are coming up to our schools to talk. I remember one time, I know there was a couple, but there was one that kind of filled the gym is where we did it, and it was kind of one of those recovering people that was trying to give a motivational thing, because there was a lot of drinking in the youth in our area, to kind of say hey, my life was in shambles. This guy had a lot of heartbreak. I don't remember the exact story, but I just remember being oh my God, this guy pretty much threw life away. And it was an interesting take to, an attempt to try to get us, youth to not underage drink. Failed, but it was probably the right move.
Right.
But Yeah, I don't know. We're right at that 45. I know you got to get going. We got some stuff to do, so
You talked about how tough it was to fill 45 minutes. Look what we just did.
we just did it. Yeah. But you know what the best part is? Here we got to talk about semen and wieners and TikTok and all sorts of whatever we wanted. And there was 3 of us for most of it. You
I
know,
was
being up there by yourself. And I had like kind of notes, but I didn't want to feel like I was super unprepared. So I kept like staring at my phone like I was reading notes. And there wasn't really anything on there. And then finally I was like, oh, hey, there's a bullet point, I guess. Yeah, go to the next slide, please. But I was like, I don't know. But it was pretty well received. So I was like, cool. I was trying to run ideas by the kids. Like, hey, if I was to do this, what would be entertaining for people your age? Because 2 of the kids are in that age group. They're like, yeah, that sounds fun. That'd be cool. Maybe it'll. I'm not. Am I going to quit my day job to go around and talk to schools? That is a no. But
No.
if I get the opportunity to, do a good thing, like I said, all the kids got a book and some stuff like that. It was a pretty cool thing to give back, and that's something that I really want to do. And like Euban was kind of talking earlier. One last thing is, it's different for you, obviously being on the radio and stuff. Like you are very, very intertwined with the local community. He wanted nothing to do with it. His content's a little bit different. And it was something that I didn't really ever focus on. So I started doing street sign story time where I find local roads and just give a little bit of, history of the town, but then come up with a story that's fictional, but it's so close that it might be believable. I just think it's a cool way. And I'm going to start like randomly sliding in like a business or two just for fun. And it's been a lot of fun, but I've done a lot of editing in CapCut, so hopefully that comes back. If not, DaVinci, baby.
Yeah, I just downloaded a new one. We'll see if it works. But with CapCut down, still down. I just checked.
Yeah,
it's sad day.
See, if I had it open on the computer, so I can still use it. But if I close it out, I think I am donezo, or when it needs an update. But like I said, I'm gonna mess with the DaVinci a little bit more, and I'll pass on some information to you. And if anybody else is looking for something by the time this comes out, if CapCut's not resolved, we'll give you some dork tips from the boys. But we got dad stuff to do. So Brandon, I appreciate your time, Euban. I know you're not listening right now, but I appreciate you as well. And anybody listening for whatever reason, we appreciate you as well. And we'll be back next week. Make sure if you're in your parents' fridge, you're in your fridge, make sure you shut it, because my seal's getting there pretty shitty in my old fridge. Sometimes it doesn't shut as much, but I blame the kids, even though the other day it was definitely me when I grabbed a beverage. So that's all we got. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.